The holy angel immediately returned into the purple sword, bringing azure frost along as they burrowed deep beneath the purple, azure, immortal mountain. Fang Chen was not idle either. He slowly turned around, his gaze firmly locking onto that heaven, burying sacred beast, his eyes gradually turning cold as blades. Fang Chen coldly said, "Wretched beast, since you refuse to obey, what use do I have for you?" On this journey, let alone willingly serving as his mount, even just dragging it forward made the heaven, burying sacred beast show extreme resistance. As its injuries healed day by day, that power of resistance grew stronger and stronger. It becoming a threat was almost inevitable. While he could still barely control it with the dog chain, it was better to quickly kill it with the Tao slaves, corrupt blood, and eliminate future troubles forever. Just then, a figure radiating a powerful aura suddenly came flying over. The newcomer was none other than the Cold Moon Sage of the Lunar Palace. In her hand, she also held an elegant and beautiful woman in palace attire, who was none other than the North Snow Asura Empress. Having previously been corrupted by karmic defilement, she had somehow now recovered fully. The Cold Moon Sage landed steadily and spoke, "So you are here after all." Fang Chen was slightly startled and asked, "Senior Cold Moon, do you need something from me?" The Cold Moon Sage sighed lightly, a look of resolve flashing in her eyes. Now that the southern celestial realm has been pacified and the central plains enjoy peace, this old body wishes to visit the source of myriad evils. I want to see with my own eyes what exactly is so good about that place. Why is it that old friends, once they go there, have their temperaments change so drastically one after another? Fang Chen was stunned upon hearing this. He remembered very clearly that the Cold Moon Sage had once said her lifespan was already running out. Going to the source of myriad evils this time, she would likely never return. Fang Chen quickly asked, "Senior, if you leave, what will become of the Lunar Palace?" A hint of a smile appeared on the Cold Moon Sage's face as she asked in return, "I once gave you a candidate token for the Lord of the Lunar Palace. Is it still with you?" Fang Chen nodded. "Of course I remember." It was when he first went to the Celestial State that the Cold Moon Sage had secretly slipped it to him. He rummaged carefully within the Sky Thunderstone for a while before finally taking out a moon-shaped token. However, Fang Chen discovered with some surprise that the token was completely different from before. Previously, it was a blue crescent moon shape, but now it had transformed into a full moon. Fang Chen pressed in confusion. How did this token change? Cold Moon Sage revealed a relieved smile and said softly, "Because it has evolved into the Palace Lord Token." "Congratulations, new master of the Lunar Palace, Starfire Venerable." Fang Chen was greatly shocked, only now suddenly recalling. Back then, the Cold Moon Sage had indeed said that she had given out 3 candidate tokens in total. Once someone passed the assessment and became the Palace Lord, the candidate token in their hand would automatically upgrade to the Palace Lord token. So before her departure, the Cold Moon Sage actually intended to entrust the entire Lunar Palace to Fang Chen. A bitter smile surfaced on his face as he said, "Senior, I already have no time to manage the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. How could you rest at ease entrusting the Lunar Palace to me?" "Oh right, aren't there 2 other candidates? How about giving it to them?" The Cold Moon Sage sighed lightly and slowly shook her head. "Among the other 2 candidates, one is the Lord of Samsara Mountain, but his Tao body has already been shattered. The other is the Silver Moon Great Sovereign. Would you wish for him to become the master of the Lunar Palace?" So it was them. Neither of these 2 was a very suitable candidate. The Lord of Samsara Mountain was a vessel for body, snatching recultivation set up by the Samsara Great Sage, far away in the source of myriad evils. And the heart schemes of the Silver Moon Great Sovereign were even more worrisome. If the Lunar Palace were handed to them, it would truly be less secure than remaining in Fang Chen's hands. The Cold Moon Sage gently comforted him. "You need not worry too much. Although you have no time to personally manage the Lunar Palace, Chen Xiling and the Moon Sovereign can govern on your behalf." Fang Chen felt both amused and exasperated. It turned out the Cold Moon Sage had already considered everything meticulously. If he refused further, it would indeed make things difficult for the senior. Fang Chen finally nodded and agreed. "Fine, I accept the Lunar Palace. However, please wait a little longer before leaving, senior." The Cold Moon Sage revealed a smile of relief and nodded. "Very well, I shall not depart until after you have officially assumed the position of Lord of the Lunar Palace." Only then did she raise her hand to point at the North Snow Asura Empress beside her, explaining, "This one insisted on seeing you." You two talk first. This old body will take her leave. Cold Moon Sage's gaze flickered rather strangely between the two of them, and after muttering something under her breath, her figure gradually faded into nothingness. Fang Chen shifted his gaze to the North Snow Asura Empress, a trace of complexity flashing in his eyes, and he asked, "Your wounds, have they healed?" The North Snow Asura Empress likewise stared at Fang Chen with a complicated expression, and replied softly, "They have. The Asura Saint bestowed upon me a portion of Asura sacred blood, curing my soul injury." Fang Chen's gaze abruptly turned sharp. The Asura Saint made a move just a short while ago. Could it be that the North Snow Asura Empress's visit this time was also at the behest of the Asura Saint? Fang Chen instantly heightened his vigilance to the utmost, his eyes sharp as he pressed. "Then what exactly did you seek me out for?" The North Snow Asura Empress lightly pursed her alluring red lips, her two hands crossing together uneasily, looking as if she didn't know where to put herself. Her eyes darted even more evasively, completely unable to meet Fang Chen's gaze directly. After much hesitation, she finally mustered the courage to say in a low voice, "May I beg you for one thing?" Fang Chen, internally on guard, uttered a single word in a deep voice, "Speak." A hint of pleading immediately entered the North Snow Asura Empress's eyes. Could you spare my clansmen?" So it was for this. The North Snow Asura Empress's refusal to leave with Tianj and the other Asura sovereigns was probably because she couldn't bear to part with the lives of those ordinary clansmen. Fang Chen said expressionlessly, "When did I ever say I would kill your clansmen?" The North Snow Asura Empress gazed deeply at Fang Chen, her tone unusually firm. "Knowing your character, you would never allow a hidden peril like the Dark Asura clan to remain. Even if you don't do it yourself, you will certainly make others do it." Having been with Fang Chen for this month, she already understood all too well what kind of person he was. He was extremely good to those beside him, yet to his enemies, he was more terrifying than a demon. Fang Chen looked at her with a chilling gaze, and no longer bothered to hide it. "Then you should know, given my character, if you continue to plead, I'll kill you as well to eliminate future troubles." After saying this, he paused slightly, his tone softening a little, and added, "For the sake of you having once helped me, I will spare your life and that of your daughter, Tianqin. I can even leave you some Asura sacred blood." "Don't make this difficult for me. I don't want to kill you with my own hands." After all the difficulty, her son Tianjian and her husband, the Nine Hells Asura sovereign, had not died at Fang Chen's hands. There was absolutely no need for them to form such deep blood enmity. Yet now a whole group of clansmen had suddenly appeared. The North Snow Asura Empress bit her lower lip tightly, then suddenly asked in return, "Then, what if I could allow your central plains to permanently occupy the southern celestial realm?" A sharp light flashed in Fang Chen's eyes as he immediately pressed, "What exactly do you mean by that?" The North Snow Asura Empress cupped her fists respectfully toward the sky and said solemnly, "The Asura Saint instructed me to relay to you. As long as you are willing to protect the Dark Asura clan bloodline, he will repel any and all enemies who dare to invade."
"What?"
Fang Chen was greatly shocked. This news was simply a heaven-sent blessing. A great world with an area, spiritual energy, providence, and even resources several times that of the Central Plains. If it could be incorporated into the Central Plains, it would be equivalent to the Central Plains, leaping from a minor world to a middle world. Even his breathing became slightly rapid. To let the Dark Asura clan off once in exchange for the vast, boundless southern celestial realm, this deal was simply too beneficial. Fang Chen shifted his gaze and pressed further, "Is that the Asura Saint's only condition?" The North Snow Asura Empress sighed in astonishment. "As expected, nothing can be hidden from you. The Asura Saint also hopes that when the dark tide descends, you will be able to shelter the Dark Asura clan. If you agree, he will give the World Embryo of the southern celestial realm to the Central Plains." World Embryo. Fang Chen immediately recalled that the big black dog had also said that the vile Itaja Immortal Mountain was the world core. But what exactly was this thing? Fang Chen frowned and asked, "What is a world core?" Although he had harbored doubts before, he had never sought confirmation from the big black dog. That dead dog was far too dishonest, and the words from its mouth could not be trusted at all. Compared to that, the North Snow Asura Empress before him was far more reassuring. The North Snow Asura Empress gently brushed a strand of hair behind her ear, patiently explaining, "The world core is the very heart that maintains a world's stability. Just as your Middle Earth has 9 dragon orbs, so does our southern heaven realm possess this violet Azure Immortal Mountain." Dragon orbs. Fang Chen was momentarily stunned. Searching his memories, he finally recalled the fierce struggle for the Earth Kai Dragon orbs back on the continent. It was for those things that many powerhouses from taking Great Province had stormed into the Tiger Demon Emperor's lair, desperately seeking the so-called Earth Kai Dragon orbs. The legend of the dragon orbs told that after the 9 ancient sages created Middle-earth, they refined 9 dragon orbs to suppress the 9 borders. Judging solely from the legend, those 9 dragon orbs indeed possess the function of maintaining world stability, as the North Snow Asura Empress had said. Fang Chen suddenly understood completely. So the Southern Heaven Realm attacks our Middle-earth at all costs, all for those 9 dragon orbs. The North Snow Asura Empress nodded. That's right. Your Middle-earth possesses a full 9 world cores. It is worth our Southern Heaven Realm staking everything to attack. Because only with enough world cores can we possibly withstand that terrifying dark tide. Case solved. The secret that the Central Emperor refused to divulge even on the verge of death has finally been thoroughly unveiled. The world cores are the key to resisting the dark tide. And the Violet Tajur, immortal mountain beneath their feet, is one of them. The Holy Angel once said that there are 4 such immortal mountains in the entire heavenly realm. They stand guard over the 4 divided heavenly realms. In the Northern Heaven Realm, the 5 magnetic primordial mountain towers majestically. In the Southern Heaven Realm, the Violet Tajur immortal mountain brims with spiritual energy. Fang Chen slowly lowered his head and cast his gaze to his palm. There lay a handful of breath soil, ground down from an entire breath origin, immortal mountain. In that instant, a flash of realization struck his mind like a bolt of lightning. So it turned out that long ago, he had already come into contact with the world core. The North Snow Asura Empress gazed at him and asked again, "Then what is your opinion on the Asura Saint's proposal?" She paused briefly and added in a solemn tone, "As long as you are willing to protect my dark Asura people, the world core will be given to you, and with it, Middle-earth." What hesitation remained in Fang Chen's heart? Even setting aside the heavy responsibility of resisting the dark tide, the boundless spiritual energy contained within the Violet Tajur immortal mountain alone left him with absolutely no reason to refuse. Fang Chen immediately nodded and declared in a deep voice, "Very well. I can spare your dark Asura branch, and if necessary, will also step in to protect them." However, his tone shifted, and his gaze suddenly sharpened. "But what guarantee do I have that your people will not rebel in the future?" The Dark Asura tribe had a prior record. 10,000 years ago, in the Great War between the 2 realms, this tribe had betrayed the Hell Realm. 1,000 years ago, the remnants of the Dark Asura tribe in the Hell Realm had brazenly launched a rebellion. This clan of Asura had rebellious blood flowing in their very bones. The North Snow Asura Empress's face, however, showed delight, and she hurriedly explained, "Rest assured, I am now the only Asura Empress. Without my order, they will never rebel." She lifted her beautiful eyes to meet Fang Chen's gaze directly, her tone sincere. "You should be able to trust me, shouldn't you?" Fang Chen raised a hand to stroke his chin, silently calculating. Without the Asura Empress backing them, the Dark Asura tribe indeed posed no real threat. Moreover, the North Snow Asura Empress was a woman utterly devoid of ambition, who still retained basic empathy. Under her leadership, the Dark Asura tribe would indeed act much less ruthlessly than before. Still, how could Fang Chen stake the safety of Middle-earth entirely on a woman he had known for barely over a month? The most prudent approach was to keep Tiank in her only remaining blood relative by his side as a hostage. A meaningful smile curled at the corner of Fang Chen's mouth, and he drawled, "Cooperation between races based solely on trust is absolutely meaningless." The North Snow Asura Empress's alluring red lips pressed together lightly. She knew this all too well. Among races, only interests are eternal. No matter how good her personal relationship with Fang Chen was, when a genuine conflict of interest between their 2 races arose, they would both surely stand unwaveringly on their respective sides. Fang Chen and Hongxiu were living proof. To deepen mutual trust, there was only one most effective method: marriage alliance. Previously, when Middle-earth had cooperated with Hongxiu, they had arranged a marriage between the West Sea Crown Prince and Xuanxuan, the tyrant dragon of the Heaven Realm. In the North Snow Asura Empress's mind, the young and beautiful image of Tiankin immediately flashed. Tiankin was youthful and beautiful, utterly perfect to marry Fang Chen. However, Fang Chen had captured Tiankin over a month ago, yet he had never shown the slightest interest in her. Instead, he had displayed an unusually keen interest in her, the mother. The North Snow Asura Empress subconsciously lowered her head, her gaze sweeping over her well-maintained figure. Her slender waist, full peaks, long, straight legs, and tight, smooth skin all exuded a mature allure. She then looked toward the mirror, like Lake, the water reflecting a dignified, beautiful, breathtakingly mature face. Although nearly 40, her face bore few traces of age. That countenance, even among a crowd of thousands, would be one that stunned at first sight. She lightly bit her alluring red lip, her eyes struggling intensely several times, before finally lowering her swan-like neck slightly and whispering, "I know what must be done."
Oh?
Fang Chen couldn't help but feel slightly surprised he hadn't even spoken yet. Could it be that she had also guessed his intention to take a hostage? When had the North Snow Asura Empress and he developed such tacit understanding? This was just as well, with mutual unspoken comprehension. It saved the unpleasantness of spelling it out. Fang Chen revealed a gratified smile and nodded, It's best that you understand. Hand it over to me as soon as possible. Hand it over to him. The North Snow Asura Empress's fair face immediately flushed uncontrollably. Was Fang Chen this impatient? She turned her face away, no longer daring to meet Fang Chen's burning eyes, and murmured in a voice as faint as a mosquito's buzz, It's up to you. She paused, her voice growing even softer, tinged with barely concealed shyness. As long as you protect my people, I'll follow your every wish. Fang Chen listened, and a strange sense of doubt crept into his heart. Had something been misunderstood?
Roar!
Without warning, an earth-shaking roar suddenly erupted. It was the heaven, burying Saint Beast, seizing the instant Fang Chen was distracted, bellowing fiercely in an attempt to intimidate Fang Chen with its great Kaian divine might, so it could break free from its chains and flee. Fortunately, the imperial decree within Fang Chen's body activated in time, absorbing that terrifying divine might completely, preventing the heaven, burying Saint Beast's scheme. Wretched beast, Fang Chen's eyes suddenly turned icy cold. I can no longer tolerate you. If he did not kill it now, once this brute fully recovered, it would likely turn and devour him. With a flick of his wrist, he directly took out a bottle of Dao Slave's foul blood. Just as he was about to act and eliminate the threat for good, the North Snow Asura Empress beside him suddenly cried out in alarm, "What are you doing?" Fang Chen said coldly, "This beast is untamable. Sooner or later it will turn on its master. Better to kill it now." The North Snow Asura Empress hastily raised her hand to stop him, calling out gently, "Hold on, my dear." Her eyes burned brightly as she looked at the ferocious giant beast, her tone full of certainty. Others may not be able to tame it, but for you it should be easy. A trace of doubt flashed in Fang Chen's eyes. "What makes you say that?" The North Snow Asura Empress gazed at the peerlessly vicious heaven, burying Saint Beast, her gaze growing profound, and slowly said, "I once heard my former husband mention it. Those 9 mounts of the giant saint are, in fact, the exclusive mounts of the great Kaian divine kingdom's royal family. Their speed is said to be so fast they can chase the river of time. Their strength so great they can suppress all foes below the saint realm. And the reason these 9 heaven-bearing sacred beasts are willing to submit to the giant saint and serve at his command, my ex-husband once speculated, is most likely because the giant saint obtained a relic of the great Kaian divine kingdom and carries the kingdom's divine might within him, which barely earned him the sacred beast's recognition." She turned to look at Fang Chen, her eyes glinting with admiration. "My lord, you are now the exalted champion Marquis, granted a domain across the 3 realms, in command of 3,000 divine might iron cavalry. You should be no less than the giant saint. There is no reason the heaven-burying sacred beast would acknowledge him but not you, a legitimate champion Marquis of the great Kaian." Could such reasoning really hold? Fang Chen looked again at the heaven-burying sacred beast. The colossal creature was glaring at him with savage ferocity, its bell-sized eyes radiating overwhelming baleful violence, as if the moment it broke free, it would swallow him without hesitation. Holding a thread of hope, Fang Chen's heart stirred abruptly, and he fiercely activated the power of the imperial edict within him. A towering yellow banner 10 zhang high abruptly unfurled behind him, snapping and billowing in the wind. Upon the banner's face, the 3 characters Champion Marquis, imbued with profound and arcane mysteries of the Kangshuan, danced wildly in the gale. A divine might like an abyss crashed down, suppressing all. The North Snow Asura Empress instinctively bent her waist and respectfully intoned, "Behold, the Champion Marquis." The heaven-burying sacred beast, which had been staring intently at Fang Chen, suddenly trembled violently. Its immense body shuddered, and the ferocious aura billowing from it subtly receded somewhat. It now watched Fang Chen with uncertainty and doubt. As the divine might emanating from the banner grew ever more intense, the heaven-bearing sacred beast finally confirmed the banner was genuine, and only then did it thoroughly act its overwhelming, baleful violence. Abandoning its former hostile stance, it obediently plopped its rear onto the ground and raised its ferocious head high. The North Snow Asura Empress's eyes flickered repeatedly as she exclaimed in delight, "That's right, this is exactly how the heaven-bearing sacred beast behaved before Giant Emperor. It has now reluctantly acknowledged you. When it's in a good mood, it will obey your orders, but at the very least, it will definitely no longer attack you on its own." She took a deep breath and added, "If you are granted a ducal title in the future, and your divine might grows stronger, it will submit to you even more. Any command that does not oppose the will of the great Kayan imperial house, it will obey." Upon hearing this, delight rose to Fang Chen's brow. This was truly an enormous, unexpected joy. For no effort at all, he had gained a heaven-bearing sacred beast. Although this big fellow wasn't very obedient for now and still couldn't serve as a mount at critical moments, bringing it out to bluff and intimidate others would absolutely work without fail. Next, Fang Chen tentatively removed the dog chain. Sure enough, the heaven-bearing sacred beast merely snorted dully and did not resist. After that, he produced a pouch and gestured for it to enter. The heaven-bearing sacred beast again offered no resistance, allowing Fang Chen to stow it inside. Only at that moment did Fang Chen's suspended heart finally settle completely. He could no longer suppress a look of excitement. This was an invincible existence of the Three Calamities realm, and he had actually subdued it just like that. Fang Chen spun around abruptly, looking at the North Snow Asura Empress who stood so close beside him. Infinite gratitude welled up in his heart. He grasped her delicate shoulders and said with emotion, "You have helped me tremendously. I will never treat you poorly." His gaze burning, he solemnly promised, "When you deliver it to me, I will definitely reward you richly." The North Snow Asura Empress instinctively wanted to pull free of Fang Chen's two scorching hands, but then she thought, hadn't she already decided to make this sacrifice? What did a little physical contact like this matter? And besides, Fang Chen said he would reward her richly only when she delivered it. What reward would require being given at that precise time? Her lovely face grew even hotter, and with extreme unnaturalness, she turned her face away once more. Fang Chen finally noticed the North Snow Asura Empress's peculiar expression. Normally, if he so much as touched her, she would dodge away instantly, as if scalded by boiling water. Her face flushed as she scolded him in a low voice. What was different about today? Surprisingly, she showed no resistance at all, and even obediently let him take advantage. Could it be because she had a request to make of him, that's why she was acting so compliant? With that thought, Fang Chen hastily withdrew his hands and said warmly, "All right, I'm going to seclude myself for a few days. You go back and prepare well." The North Snow Asura Empress's cheeks instantly reddened further, her heart pounding like a startled fawn as she muttered to herself, "By preparing well, does he mean I should cleave in myself up and wait for him?" Fang Chen added gently, also, "Explain things properly to Tiankin. This matter must first obtain her consent. Otherwise, if she throws a fit, it will be a headache for both of us." Hearing this, a warm current surged through the North Snow Asura Empress's heart. Fang Chen had considered everything so thoroughly for her, even thinking of her daughter Tiankin's feelings. But her real father had just died, and now a stepfather was appearing out of nowhere. Tiankin would be able to accept it calmly only if hell froze over. Yet for the sake of the countless lives of the Asura clan, Tiankin would have to accept it, whether she could or not. Kai Jiao tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and said gratefully, "Thank you for thinking of Tiankin. I'll persuade her properly. You cultivate in peace, take care of yourself, and don't overwork. I will wait for you." With those words, her face still red, she hurriedly turned and ran off. Kai Jiao's heart trembled faintly. She could no longer remember how long it had been since she last showed such care toward Fang Chen. Fang Chen was slightly puzzled and muttered to himself, "Ever since we established this cooperation, she's become a different person, even considerate of me now." He shook his head. With that hidden danger resolved, he promptly sat cross-legged on the herb garden and reviewed the personal gains and losses from this battle. The primordial heaven, imprisoning gourd, and the ghost 7 Asura Emperor's primal seed, these two ultimate weapons had already been used up. The 6 black formation stones were severely damaged, and the sleeping giant emperor's curse, as well as the death laws, had been fully exhausted. The consumption of spirit herbs and jade talismans was countless. After this battle, the losses were indeed not small, but the gains were equally huge. One burying sacred beast mount, 8 corpses, Yun, Li Shen's bone cylinder, the 9 hells Asura Emperor's seed, Yi Banxia's soul leaf, and more. It had to be said, the gains far outweighed the costs. Almost all of the techniques and treasures he had prepared before the great battle had been put to use. There was only one trump card he had never employed. Fang Chen took out a multicolored scale. It was something the Yishu Demon Emperor had entrusted Yuan Jiyu to bring him before the great battle, containing a tear of time that had fallen from the heavens. It could make a great vow to heaven and earth at the cost of one's life. He gently grasped the colorful scale, his eyes soft with warmth. Sister Yizhu and Sister Jiumeng, I've been so caught up in the ancient giant war that I haven't visited you. Once I've traversed the myriad heavens and 100 worlds and completely settled the giant war, I'll come back to catch up with you. Having finished reviewing his gains and losses, Fang Chen quieted his mind and cultivated in silence. The southern heaven realm now had numerous sages and divine transformation cultivators stationed there. There was no need for him to personally attend to every last detail. He had to quickly raise his strength to prepare for renting the war, avoidance tablets in the various realms. 3 days later, Fang Chen slowly opened his eyes. The exhaustion from the great battle had fully recovered, and his cultivation had even improved a fraction. He couldn't help thinking, as expected of having the southern heaven realm's realm embryo here, 3 days of cultivation was equivalent to 3 years of bitter cultivation in Taikang Great Province. Even without a heaven, earth grand pill, training here arduously for a few years would offer hope of breaking through to the 4 declines of the heavenly man realm. Besides cultivation, he had also handled some matters during these 3 days. Deputy Palace Master Yu and several other converted giant kings had been successfully located and sent here, where Fang Chen reversed the conversion. The injured mind, Demon Venerable, also received treatment. Additionally, he had duplicated 3 more void feather robes. Just as he opened his eyes, the pitch big black dog turned into a lightning streak and arrived before him. The big black dog fawned, Master, you're awake. Fang Chen asked flatly, where have you been? The big black dog chuckled obsequiously. I've naturally been out running errands for my master with utmost devotion and tireless diligence. While you were cultivating these 3 days, the ancient giants have all been wiped out clean. The hidden Asura Emperors, Giant Emperors, and Li Shen remnant souls have also been successively eradicated. The southern heaven realm is now completely at peace. Fang Chen let out a relieved breath. In that case, once he and the North Snow Asura Emperor had fully cemented their cooperation, the southern heaven realm would become territory of the Central Plains. The big black dog rubbed its paws together and said, also, I discovered the ruins of an angelic legacy left behind 10,000 years ago. It's no ordinary place. Does the master wish to go take a look? This dead dog sure hadn't been idle. In 3 days' time, it had probably already scoured all the good spots in the southern heaven realm. Speaking of the angel relic, Fang Chen brought out the angel's blade, glowing with a sanctified light. This blade was one of the 3 great treasures sealed within the Black Sun royal court. Why would a giant king ever keep an angel's blade that poses a mortal threat to himself? The reason was that this angel's blade was tied to a sanctuary left behind from 10,000 years ago. He had never once forgotten this matter. Now that the southern celestial realm had been pacified, it was time to set aside a moment to explore the relic that the Black Sun King so obsessively yearned for. But before that, he would first regroup with everyone. He still did not know whether the heavenly secret pavilion had suffered casualties in this great battle. Grasping the heart of myriad Earths, Fang Chen wheeled himself upward and appeared above the imperial court. The former core territory of the giants was now strewn with the temporary camps of the Central Plains, like countless white flames dancing and blazing across the ancient land. A sage's aura coiled around Fang Chen. It was Lu Zhu who had sensed his presence and rushed over at once. With her silver hair flowing, Lu Zhu threw herself into Fang Chen's arms like a clinging bird, crying out, "Husband!" Fang Chen's mouth twitched, and he instinctively wanted to dodge. He had not forgotten that when Lu Zhu first broke through to the Asura Emperor realm and had yet to master her strength, a single embrace had almost crashed him to death. In a flicker, Lu Zhu easily pounced into him, burying her slender form entirely against his body, giggling, "It's all right now." Through intense slaughter, she had now fully mastered her new realm. Only then did Fang Chen's hanging heart settle, and he gently patted her back, asking, "Is everyone unharmed?" As those words left his mouth, his heart was uneasy. He did not wish to add more names of old friends to the Taking Cemetery. Lu Zhu replied, All the people of the heavenly secret pavilion are present. Hearing this, Fang Chen let out a long sigh of relief, so long as no one was lost. In such a devastating battle, the heavenly secret pavilion's complete survival owed itself to both luck and objective reasons. The heaviest casualties of this battle had fallen upon the divine transformation level, with more than half perishing outright. The most unscathed were the nascent soul experts, for all the nascent soul giants of the southern celestial realm had been cast into the void back during the battle for the central planes. This time they swept through with overwhelming force, suffering very few losses. The majority of the heavenly secret pavilion were nascent soul cultivators. Divine transformation experts were few. Thus they had no deaths. Lu Zhu let out a soft hum, jealousy lacing her voice. Still, your most beloved Yunsheng nearly died. It was almost my turn to take her place, but fate was kind to her. That girl Chu Yu saved her. At the first half of the sentence, Fang Chen's heart clenched. Hearing the second half, he grew puzzled. Chu Yu? Was that the female demon clan who claimed to come from the Myriad Demon Great Province? When that woman first entered the heavenly secret pavilion, she was already at the Demon Emperor realm. Now she was a 7 apertures Demon Emperor. She was able to save Yunsheng, who was at the divine transformation stage. Fang Chen was only mildly astonished. Battlefields were ever changing and complex. A nascent soul saving a divine transformation was not entirely impossible. Fang Chen said, "Summon them all. I will tend to their wounds together." Lu Zhu wrinkled her delicate nose. "Everyone else is here, but Yi Bangxia and your martial niece have vanished without a trace." Fang Chen's expression shifted. Xia Keoj was missing. Could she have fallen? That girl had given all her golden life, saving feathers to Fang Chen, leaving herself with nothing. Lu Zhu clicked her tongue. "Look how anxious you are. I already said everyone is alive. She only disappeared today, suddenly." Disappeared? Fang Chen's brow furrowed. Here in the heart of the Central Plains, who could have abducted her? With the 9 Nether Demon Venerable and the ancient Zen Buddha Venerable, both at the 2 Tribulation Realm, standing guard, who could possibly evade their senses and spirit someone away. Unless it was a 3 Tribulation Realm expert. But the Southern Celestial Realm no longer had any 3 Tribulation powerhouses. Pondering, Fang Chen took out the moon mirror and wrote upon it, "Choose a good name. Among flowers, where are you?" Before long, the moon mirror transmitted a reply, "I will return soon. Don't worry." Lu Zhu leaned her little head over. "See, she's fine." Yet Fang Chen's expression remained grave. He wrote once more, "Choose a good name. Shall I come find you?" The other party replied, "No need. I'll be back in a bit." Fang Chen's face grew even darker, and he said in a tight voice, "Keoj is in danger." Lu Zhu blinked. "Isn't she all right?" Fang Chen said, "When our Moon Mirror members converse, we must always mark our own nicknames before speaking. Keoj has never once omitted it. But now she has forgotten twice in a row to mark her name among flowers. The one replying just now is definitely not her." Lu Zhu grew alarmed. "Wait here. I'll notify everyone." After she left, Fang Chen casually retrieved an item of Xia Keoj's. She had given him so many things. Finding her old belongings was far too easy. He placed a jade box that had once held a golden feather before the big black dog. Fang Chen gritted out, "Lock onto her location." The big black dog took one sniff, and without even activating his innate talent, said in surprise, "Oh, it's her." Fang Chen narrowed his eyes. "You've met her?" The big black dog replied, "On my way back from the angel relic, I ran into her on the road. Seemed like there was another person beside her, too." Fang Chen's brow knit tightly. Who was the person beside her? Most likely, that person was controlling Xia Keoj. The big black dog blinked its eyes and lowered its voice. "How would I know? I only picked up 2 scents from a distance. The Xia Keoj you mentioned is one of them." Fang Chen fell silent. At that moment, his heart was as though fiercely seized by an invisible hand, utterly thrown into turmoil. In his mind, the long, skirted young girl who only ever smiled at him still echoed with the crisp calls of martial uncle, sending an inexplicable ache through his chest. He cried out in his heart, "Keoj, you must not come to harm. Your martial uncle still owes you a promise." A fierce rush of tearing wind sounded, and one after another, several figures appeared around Fang Chen. It was the 9 Nether Demon Venerable, the ancient Zen Buddha Venerable, the Lord of Fang Chen First Trank Pavilion, and Dongfang Canyu. Even the Heavenly Secret Pavilion Master, the Compassion Mirror Great Venerable, the Yunshang Fairy, the True Word Venerable, and other pavilion elites arrived in swift succession. With Xia Keoj alone in peril, the entire Heavenly Secret Pavilion had moved out in full force. Fang Chen was deeply moved and said in a solemn voice, I thank you all for your concern toward my Keoj, but the one who took her is no ordinary foe. I and the sages will investigate first. The rest may follow later and wait to see how things unfold. If Zia Keoj was merely coerced into leaving of her own accord, that would be one matter. But if she was forcibly taken away, the trouble would be immense. Fang Chen cupped his fists toward the demon venerable and the Buddha venerable. Many thanks to you two elders for your aid. The Lord of Fang Chen first, Frank Pavilion, Lu Zhu, and Dongfang Canyu were all his own people. It was only natural for them to act to recover Keoj. Yet these two tribulation realm mighty figures could have originally stood by and done nothing. The nine-nethered demon venerable's voice was silky but cold as he snorted, taking someone from right under this venerable's nose without a word of greeting that rather looks down upon me. It is not for your martial niece alone. I intend to meet him myself. The ancient Zen Buddha Venerable pressed his palms together and looked at Fang Chen, saying calmly, Since she is the martial niece of Starfire Venerable, my Buddhist domain shall, of course, lend its full support. Gratitude shining in his eyes, Fang Chen immediately patted the big black dog's head. Lead the way. With a deep sniff, the big black dog instantly locked onto Zia Keoj's scent, then shot off like a streak of black lightning. Lu Zhu seized Fang Chen's arm and softly said, Husband, I will carry you along. The several sages transformed into illusory afterimages in quick succession, pursuing closely. The members of the heavenly secret pavilion followed right behind them. Now, the easternmost edge of the southern celestial realm lay at the very boundary of the world. The ends of the land were jagged and broken like snapped teeth, with once piercing mountains collapsed and toppled, their chaotic boulders forming stone forests. It was easy to imagine what violent upheaval and devastation had reigned when the heavenly realm was shattered and split into 4 parts all those years ago. At this world's edge, 2 figures wandered, one ahead of the other. The one behind was a woman in blue robes, tall and slender, her bearing detached, her face devoid of joy or sorrow. Even though her hands were now bound by chains of law, not a trace of anger or fear could be seen upon her. The one in front was also a woman, appearing around 40 years of age. She wore embroidered finery and a crown woven from flowers of every color. Gazing out over the magnificent landscape, her beautiful face could not hide its delight. Is this the homeland of our past, even more majestic and beautiful than the northern celestial realm? She murmured softly. Behind her, 8 pairs of golden wings gently quivered, casting a mesmerizing golden halo. She was an 8-winged archangel, a mighty existence, second only to the 2 9-winged sovereigns of the northern celestial realm. Zia Keoj spoke expressionlessly. Take me back to the northern celestial realm quickly. Do not waste time. The woman in ornate robes did not turn her head, calmly countering, What's the rush? Zia Keoj said, I haven't returned to the northern celestial realm in so long, I miss home. The woman in ornate robes smiled faintly, saying slowly, Keoj, you've learned to lie. If you truly miss the northern celestial realm, you wouldn't have refused to return with Yan Wang, Xiao. You're afraid that if I stay here, I will harm the people you care about, aren't you? On Zia Keoj's indifferent face, a trace of unease finally surfaced. The woman before her was an 8-wing archangel. If she made a move, none of the powerhouses from the central plains could stop her. The woman in ornate robes' voice carried an indescribable chill. You should be grateful that I am the one who came. If it were any other 8-wing archangel, or even the 2 9-wing archangels, the people with you would already be dead. With the southern celestial realm, such a fertile land, how could they simply hand over the central plains? Zia Keoj looked at the sky, then at the woman's back, and asked, How did you enter the southern celestial realm? Have the world barrier rules failed? The woman replied calmly, The 2 Saint Realm experts of the southern celestial realm can't wait for me to avenge them by slaughtering all the people of the central plains. Why would they refuse my entry? Zia Keoj suddenly understood. No wonder she could enter the central plains, and no wonder it was her who entered. She was merely a vanguard sent by the northern celestial realm to test the waters. Once it was confirmed that angels of the northern celestial realm could enter the southern celestial realm unimpeded, it would be time for a large-scale invasion. Her heart tightened. The southern celestial realm was hard, won by her martial uncle. How could she let the northern celestial realm reap the benefits? Without realizing it, she slowed her pace. Because if the woman before her returned safely to the northern celestial realm, it would prove that the southern celestial realm could be traversed safely. Sensing something unusual behind her, the woman in ornate robes turned her head and said, It seems you truly care about the people of the Central Plains. You can beg me to delay my return to the Northern Celestial Realm." Zia Keoj turned her face away. Although expressionless, she exuded an innate stubbornness. Yet the mere thought of a massive Northern Celestial Realm invasion and her martial uncle once again fighting bloody battles made her lower her head. She whispered, I beg you, don't return to the Northern Celestial Realm just yet." The woman in ornate robes gazed at her, smiling. "Then, what should you call me?" Zia Keoj hesitated for a long while before forcing out the word with great discomfort, "Mother." The woman in ornate robes walked back, cupping Zia Keoj's exquisite face in her hands. Her eyes deep, she said, "In the Northern Celestial Realm, you rarely called me mother. Yet now you humble yourself before me for a group of people from the Central Plains. No, is it for a group of people, or for one person in particular?" A flash of panic flickered in Zia Keoj's eyes. Though she hid it instantly, the woman in ornate robes caught it keenly. The smile on her face gradually faded, and her voice turned cold. "Yunwang, see, said you fell in love with a man from the Central Plains. I didn't believe it at first. But now it's true. His name is Fang Chen, isn't it? The champion Marquis Fang Chen, who issued the proclamation to all heavens and hundreds of realms 3 days ago." Zia Keoj panicked and blurted out, "Mother, don't listen to Yunwang. Sio's nonsense. I did not." The woman in ornate robes shook her head. With a light pinch from her sleeve, a white feather quickly turned black. She said coldly, "This is a truth. Detecting angel feather. Once you lie, the feather turns black." Zia Keoj's face drastically changed. The woman in ornate robes' expression turned completely frosty as she sternly declared, "I forbid you to love a human. And love does not change with will unless he disappears from the world." Zia Keoj bit her red lips. Her worst fear had arrived. No longer hiding her emotions, she fell to her knees with a thud, pleading, "Mother, your daughter begs you, don't kill him. I will return to the Northern Celestial Realm with you, and from now on, never set foot in the Central Plains or the Southern Celestial Realm." Looking at her daughter so pitifully begging, the woman in ornate robes felt dazed, even sensing a hint of unfamiliarity. This was the first time Zia Keoj had cared so deeply about someone. After pondering for a long while, she raised her index finger and gently touched Zia Keoj's forehead, her tone softening slightly. "Your chastity remains intact. Then I will spare his life, as long as he does not appear again." As she spoke, she suddenly turned her head toward the distance, frowned slightly, and said coldly, "I should have known to kill that big black dog. It's brought a whole group here for no reason." The 8 pairs of golden wings on the woman in ornate robes stirred without wind, and halos of golden light began flickering in and out. Her gaze abruptly turned icy, murderous intent swirling. Seeing this, Zia Keoj's heart lurched in anxiety. Could it be her martial uncle coming to find her? She hurriedly cried out, "Mother, don't make things difficult for them." The woman in ornate robes glanced at her, saying, so anxious, "Could it be your worried Fang Chen is among them?" Her eyes shifted, and a ring of golden flames suddenly burst from beneath her feet, sweeping from bottom to top and instantly engulfing her entire body. When the flames dispersed, the woman in ornate robes of moments ago had transformed into a young woman in her 20s. She wore a fresh moon, white long dress with a serene temperament and delicate features. The 8 pairs of wings on her back completely dissipated, and her archangel cultivation was entirely suppressed. 2 adorable little angels appeared above her head, bobbing up and down. In the blink of an eye, she went from an 8-wing archangel to a 2-kai angel commander. With a casual wave of her hand, she freed Zia Keoj from her restraints and said calmly, "I want to see just what is so good about this champion Marquis that makes you so reluctant to leave him. Now, I am your elder sister, Linglong. If you don't want them to die, cooperate with me properly." Zia Keoj stared at her intently, fully aware in her heart. Mother intended to personally test her martial uncle, and the moment she spotted any negative signs, she would immediately kill him. A thought instantly flashed through her mind. No matter what, she must secretly tip off her martial uncle. Just as that thought arose in Zia Keoj's heart, she forcefully crushed the tiny flame of hope. She knew that once her mother's disguise was exposed, her martial uncle would instead be plunged into danger. So she nodded slightly and extended her hand to Linglong, saying in a low voice, "Give the moon mirror back to me. You slipped up just now." Linglong, surprised, took out the moon mirror fragment and glanced at the conversation that had not yet faded. She immediately noticed the clue. She raised an eyebrow and said with amusement, "This choose a good name is your martial uncle's alias, isn't it?" Before speaking, he even needs to label his alias. As she spoke, she casually tossed the moon mirror fragment back to Zia Keoj without a care. Zia Keoj hastily caught it with both hands, an involuntary look of recovered joy appearing on her face. She clutched the fragment tightly in her palm, secretly rejoicing. This was one of the few things her martial uncle had given her. If she lost it, she would truly be sad for a long time. From the distance came a series of urgent, dense sounds of tearing wind. Before long, led by the big black dog, Fang Chen and the 5 sages finally arrived in haste. At a glance, Fang Chen saw Zia Keoj standing safe and sound in her original spot, and his heart, which had been hanging in suspense the entire journey, slowly settled. But his gaze immediately hardened as he warily swept over the young woman in her 20s standing beside her. The woman could not be said to be particularly beautiful, yet she was by no means ugly. She exuded an exceptionally unique aura that left a deep impression with just one glance, unforgettable. Fang Chen sensed her cultivation displayed only the 2 Kai Angel Commander realm, and immediately turned to look at the 9 Nether Demon Venerable and the ancient Zen Buddha Venerable. Those 2 sages had already used their secret techniques, and were secretly probing the woman's true cultivation. After a moment, both nodded slightly in succession, confirming that she truly was only at the 2 Kai Angel Commander realm. With this confirmation, Fang Chen relaxed slightly, but to be thorough, he still asked Zia Keoj, who is this? Zia Keoj forcibly suppressed the strangeness in her heart, not daring to let any hint of it show on her face, and obediently answered, "She is my elder sister. She came specially to take me back to the northern celestial realm." Elder sister. Fang Chen was momentarily stunned by her words. Doubts sprouted in his heart. Could it be that Zia Keoj wasn't being taken away by force, but was leaving of her own accord? Seeing the lingering suspicion in his eyes, Zia Keoj had no choice but to lightly leap and drift down beside Fang Chen, demonstrating that she was not under any coercion. Seeing that Zia Keoj truly was free to come and go, Fang Chen finally fully relaxed. The 9 Nether Demon Venerable's effeminate voice sounded at the right moment, tinged with a faint dissatisfaction. "Little girl, even if you wanted to leave, you should have it else." East said something. "It's not a big deal that you're leaving, but the sages of the Central Plains nearly mobilized entirely for you." Zia Keoj's gaze, however, was fixed quietly only upon Fang Chen before her, and her clear eyes instantly brimmed with irrepressible joy. She knew better than anyone that the sages of the Central Plains would not go to such great lengths for a mere little girl like her. The only one who could have moved them to act as her martial uncle. So, martial uncle actually cares about me this much. A sweet, warm feeling instantly flooded her heart, yet the thought that she would soon be taken back to the northern heaven realm made the surging reluctance all the more intense, almost swallowing her whole. She turned to look at her mother, hesitated for a moment, and then said softly, "Martial uncle, allow me to introduce. This is my sister, Linglong." Before her words finished, Linglong had already appeared out of thin air beside Zia Keoj, as if teleporting, facing Fang Chen at a close distance. Amid a faint, ethereal breeze of fragrance, her scrutinizing gaze cut like an invisible carving knife, slicing straight into Fang Chen's body. A flicker of surprise rose in Fang Chen's heart. This woman, who only possessed the cultivation of a 2 Kai archangel, gave him an indescribably profound and complex feeling. The feeling was exceedingly strange. It was as if everyone around had become blurred silhouettes in a fog, and only this woman named Linglong stood out with such razor-sharp clarity that she was impossible to ignore. However, recalling that 2 experts of the 2 Calamities realm had investigated beforehand, and Keoj had personally vouched for her afterward, Fang Chen temporarily suppressed he lingering doubt in his heart. He cupped his hands and offered a smile, his voice bright. "So you are Keoj's sister. I am Fang Chen, her martial uncle." "Fairy Linglong, might it be possible to let Keoj remain in the southern heaven realm? I will take meticulous care of her, and never let her suffer any hardship." Linglong clasped her hands behind her back, shook her head with a faint smile, and said, "It is not that I wish to take her away. It is she herself who wants to return with me. Keoj herself wants to leave." Fang Chen's gaze immediately shifted to Zia Keoj's eyes, filled with inquiry. Zia Keoj dared not reveal even a trace of being coerced. She could only bury all her bitterness deep inside, put on an apologetic expression, and said quietly, "Martial uncle, I have troubled you for far too long. I think it is time for me to return to the northern heaven realm." Hearing the words "leave" from Zia Keoj's own lips, Fang Chen felt as if something had stabbed fiercely into his heart, a sharp, clear pain spreading. So it was Keoj herself who wanted to go. Could it be that I have not treated her well enough, that I have been too lacking in care for her? He couldn't help but recall the moments he had shared with Zia Keoj. Ever since leaving the mainland, there had been little intersection between them. It was always Keoj who thought of him, time and again delivering what he needed into his hands. And as for him, he hadn't even known that Keoj possessed the identity of an angel, never truly caring about her. Now that Keoj was about to travel far, he sorrowfully realized that other than that void feather robe, he had nothing that Keoj truly needed to give as a parting gift. The faint flicker of sadness in Fang Chen's eyes was clearly reflected in Zia Keoj's pupils, making her own heart quiver fiercely in turn. She knew she had made her martial uncle sad. Yet she could not show even a hint of reluctance on her face, or else Mother truly would kill her martial uncle without mercy. She took a deep breath, reached out, and gently tugged at Fairy Linglong's arm. "Sister, let us go." Linglong sized Fang Chen up and down, secretly pondering. He is, after all, a man worthy of becoming the champion Marquis, truly possessing a few extraordinary qualities. If my perception does not deceive me, that divine ring within his body seems rather special, does it not? And his body is wrapped in the aura of many hellish artifacts. He is indeed a remarkably outstanding man in both appearance and ability. It is not hard to understand why my daughter would be infatuated with him. Considering that he sees Keoj merely as a martial niece with no improper thoughts, I will spare him today. It is not worth pushing the mother-daughter relationship to a breaking point over a strange man. She nodded lightly and said in a flat tone, "Fellow Taoist Fang, we shall take our leave then." Having said that, she took Zia Keoj's arm and turned around, about to teleport away. "Hold on," Fang Chen suddenly called out to stop them. Linglong slowly turned back, and the previously calm gaze instantly sharpened. "Young Master Fang, could it be that you still do not want to let Keoj go?" Fang Chen forced down the reluctance churning in his heart and said solemnly, "Since it is Keoj's own wish to leave, I will naturally not obstruct her. Only before you depart, please allow me to prepare a small parting gift for Keoj." "A gift?" Linglong dismissively waved her hand. "That won't be necessary." Yet Zia Keoj's heart had already begun to pound. Martial uncle wanted to give her a gift. And moreover, preparing a gift meant she could still delay a while longer, and the time for the Northern Heaven Realm's invasion could be pushed back accordingly. Perhaps she could use this opportunity to leave her martial uncle some subtle hints, allowing the Southern Heaven Realm to be on guard in advance. She immediately lifted her face and pleaded, "Sister, I want to receive martial uncle's gift before leaving." Linglong, however, refused in a tone that brooked no argument. "I said it is unnecessary. If you want gifts, the Northern Heaven Realm has as many as you could wish for. We are leaving." But before she could finish, her gaze was suddenly drawn firmly to something, her expression abruptly shifting. They saw in Fang Chen's hand, appearing out of nowhere, a sharp blade radiating holy light, so pure it was almost blinding. Angel's blade. Linglong slightly narrowed her eyes, and her tone finally revealed a trace of interest. "You intend to give this to Keoj?" Fang Chen shook his head and said slowly, "This alone is not enough. I wish to give her an angel's ruins." "Ruins?" Linglong's gaze locked tightly onto that angel's blade, faintly sensing that the original owner's aura was extremely extraordinary, and a look of genuine interest finally surfaced between her brows. "After so many years of occupation, the Southern Heaven Realm still harbors fine ruins. Very well, then we shall accompany you for a visit and explore it." Seeing this, the Nine Nether Demon Venerable at the side found the situation utterly tedious and spoke lazily, "Since this was merely a false alarm, I shall take my leave first." The ancient Zen Buddha Venerable also pressed his palms together and silently withdrew. These two clearly had not the slightest interest in the so-called angel's ruins. Lu Zhu also spoke up. "Senior Dongfang, we should also take our leave. An angel's ruins is something our Asura tribe cannot enjoy." She had once been a citizen of the Southern Heaven Realm and had seen many ruins. Without exception, they were filled with powerful holy angelic energy, extremely unfriendly to their Asura tribe. Dongfang Canyu's gaze, however, lightly flickered between Fang Chen and Zia Keoj, and a meaningful smile slowly curved at the corner of her lips. She teased with a giggle, "Husband truly embraces all rivers and seas, humans, demonic beasts, Asuras. Now he's only missing an angel." As soon as she finished speaking, without waiting for Fang Chen to glare at her, she grabbed Lu Zhu and quickly scurried away with a laugh. Watching everyone leave one after another, the Lord of Fangshan Yipin Pavilion shook his head and said in a low voice, "I shall not disturb the final reunion between Uncle and Nike. If you need anything, contact me at any time." With that, he also transformed into an afterimage and vanished on the spot. The big black dog, however, was brimming with excitement, its inner calculations clacking away. "Wonderful, the sages have all left, and now I'm the only one left. Once we enter those so-called ruins, I'll be picking up treasures left and right. Perfect. This guy cleaned out all my reserves last time. It's time to restock." Just as it was gleefully planning, it suddenly felt as if a gaze had pierced straight through its body. It looked up and found Fang Chen staring coldly at it. "Dead dog, the so back home is about to give birth. Go back right now and take good care of it." The big black dog blinked its 3 eyes, its face full of confusion. "Home? So about to give birth? Master, why can't I understand a single word you're saying?" Fang Chen expressionlessly reached into his sleeve and silently activated the Hell Soul Bell. In an instant, the big black dog's entire body suddenly burned with searing heat, so hot that it yelped "oh-oh" and leaped up from the spot. It immediately turned its hooves and cried out, "I get it, I get it. I'll go back and take care of the so right away." Before the words had even faded, its 4 hooves slammed the ground, and it became a streak of black lightning, vanishing without a trace in a cloud of dust. Fang Chen put away the Hell Soul Bell and gave a soft snort, grumbling resentfully, absolutely no sense of perception. Those 3 eyes are a complete waste. Xia Zheoj stole a glance at Linglong beside her, and a silent sigh escaped the depths of her heart. Isn't there also one standing right here who has no sense of perception? Sadly, nobody dares to manage her. She gazed at Fang Chen with yearning, filled eyes, her voice trembling with urgency and curiosity. "Uncle, Master, which ruins are you taking us to?" Fang Chen flipped his hand and produced a small pagoda. With a thought, the remnant soul of the Blood Moon King drifted out, rising and falling like smoke. Its expression was exceptionally vacant and dazed. It had been imprisoned for an entire month, and had long forgotten what heaven and earth even were. It took a long while before its senses finally returned. It looked around blankly and murmured, "This is the Southern Heaven Realm." Then its gaze locked fiercely onto Fang Chen. Outwardly it seemed worried, but in truth it could barely suppress an inner ecstasy. "Boy, how dare you come to the Southern Heaven Realm?" In its eyes, Fang Chen stepping into the Southern Heaven Realm was nothing less than throwing himself straight into the jaws of death. If he were to die, its own chance to live would finally arrive. Fang Chen's face was utterly calm, and he said indifferently, "The Southern Heaven Realm was destroyed long ago." Destroyed, destroyed. The Blood Moon King froze on the spot, its mind utterly unable to link the words Southern Heaven Realm and destroyed together. Only when it instinctively raised its head to look at the sky did it realize that the 9 eternal suns, which had hung in the heavens since time immemorial, had actually vanished. It staggered back in panic and cried out involuntarily, "The 9 suns' Emperor has fallen." If even he had fallen, then the Southern Heaven Realm might truly have been destroyed. In an instant, the Blood Moon King felt that the passage of years had become a blur, as if time and space themselves had slipped into chaos. Could it be that inside the soul, suppressing pagoda, it had not endured just a single month, but rather 100 years or even 1,000? Fang Chen could not be bothered to offer any further explanation. He got straight to the point. "Back then, when I intended to kill you, you said that the Black Sun King's treasury held a treasure that could guide us to the sacred hall of the winged great angel." He stared at the Blood Moon King and, enunciating each word slowly, demanded, "Do you still remember?" The Blood Moon King nodded profusely. "Of course I remember. That sacred hall was discovered by me and the Black Sun King together." It seized the chance to bargain, gnashing its teeth. "As long as you let me live, I will tell you exactly what that object is." Before it could finish, Fang Chen cut it off with a cold laugh. "No need. I've already obtained it." He spread his palm, and the very angel blade materialized before the Blood Moon King's eyes. The soul of the Blood Moon King quivered violently, its eyes brimming with horror. You actually took it." Fang Chen slowly withdrew his hand, his tone brooking no argument. "Now, all you need to do is lead me to that sacred hall. As for letting you go, absolutely impossible." A cold light flared in his eyes, and he declared with finality, "The most I can grant you is a swift death." With the Blood Moon King's hands once stained by the blood of Middle-earth's living beings, he could never be granted pardon. The Blood Moon King's expression flickered. Blustering fiercely but inwardly terrified, it hissed, "Then why should I tell you any of this?" Fang Chen's gaze turned abruptly gelid. He raised his palm, and a small black bottle manifested out of thin air. Inside, a cluster of white soul flame burned in merciless silence. His voice dropped to an icy whisper, "Because I can make you beg for death." The Blood Moon King's soul recoiled sharply. Even through the bottle, it could feel the excruciating agony of those searing flames. To be sealed and scorched inside there forever, truly, a fate more dreadful than death. "Fang, you are ruthlessly vicious," the Blood Moon King snarled in a low roar. Fang Chen looked down upon it with chilling detachment, his voice the definition of merciless, death, or a living death, choose. Linglong, standing nearby, revealed a look of astonishment. She sized up Fang Chen with an amused half-smile and secretly sent a telepathic transmission to Ziyajayaj. Her tone carried a trace of playful irony. From his appearance, I thought he was just some righteous and stubborn pedant. I never expected him to be so ruthless and icy cold. She paused, then added with a light laugh, "There's a certain manliness about him. Your judgment isn't bad." Ziyajayaj hurriedly transmitted back in secret, "Mother, you've misunderstood. He's only like this toward enemies. To his own people, he's incredibly kind." As she spoke, her pair of limpid autumn water eyes fixed themselves on Fang Chen's face, unable to shift away. "Is that so?" Linglong's tone grew meaningfully profound, and she continued telepathically, "Then, I'm your elder sister, so now I count as one of his own people too, don't I? When we get to the angel ruins later, will he treat me well?" Withdrawing from the telepathic exchange, she a little impatiently produced a millstone, radiating an aura of holy power, and spoke out loud. "Fellow Taoist Fang, this is a magical artifact of my northern heaven realm. It can grind the souls of our enemies directly into nothingness." With a flick of her wrist, she declared loftily, "All their life's memories can be wrung out and extracted. I present this treasure for your use." Fang Chen felt a secret chill run down his spine, a thought surfacing in his mind, grinding a person's soul to powder while they still live. Is this truly their method? Angels, angels, yet their methods had absolutely nothing to do with holiness or mercy. The Blood Moon King saw that persisting in defiance would only deliver him into eternal, unendurable torment. He could only clench his jaw and rasp hatefully, "Boy, I hope you honor your word and give me a swift death." Fang Chen snapped coldly, "Enough with the useless chatter." The Blood Moon King reached out with its senses and said dejectedly, "It lies within the Cloud Sea, in the domain of the Black Sun King's court. That place was separated from here by the territories of several kingly courts. Without a sage to serve as guide, it would take an age to arrive. They would have to rely on the earth, heart of 10,000 soils, to teleport. And that meant he would have to bring these two women along with him. Ziyajayaj would be easy. She would surely not object to being in close contact with him. But her elder sister Linglong might well be unwilling." Fang Chen thought for a moment, then spoke truthfully. "With the speed at my nascent soul stage, it would take more than half a day to reach the Cloud Sea." Half a day? Fairy Linglong knitted her delicate brows slightly. How could she afford to waste so much time here? After all, the Northern Heaven Realm had been expecting her to send back intelligence just moments ago. Seeing this, Fang Chen continued, "I possess a secret treasure capable of teleporting people there in an instant. However, if you were to lose contact with me midway, what would become of you is hard to say." The essence of the Earth Heart's teleportation was to transform oneself into a portion of the Great Earth. If someone being carried were to fall off along the way, heaven alone need where they might end up. He produced a spatial pouch and said with deep gravity, "If you two are willing to trust me, then temporarily enter this pouch. Once we arrive, I'll release you. That is the safest method." Ziyajayaj answered without a moment's thought, "I'll follow whatever Uncle Master instructs." Linglong, however, let out a light chuckle. Why make things so troublesome? She stretched out her hand and directly wrapped her arm around Fang Chen's, a captivating smile blooming on her face. "Just hold on tight, isn't that enough?" How could she possibly put herself so abruptly into Fang Chen's pouch and let him do with her as he pleased? Ziyajayaj, watching her mother tightly hugging Fang Chen's arm, couldn't help but cry out, "Mother, sister, what are you doing?" She stamped her foot in distress. "Let go of my uncle, master, this instant." She herself had never clung onto her uncle, master's arms so intimately. How could her mother have the nerve? Linglong shot a teasing glance at her daughter. "Then you can get into the pouch. I'll simply stay with him like this." Ziyajayaj could agree to that even less. Her gaze turned toward Fang Chen's other arm. Though her heart was bursting with desire to be near him, she simply couldn't work up the courage. Fang Chen was left speechless in his mind. Linglong was perfectly open and bold, yet this girl Ziyajayaj was being so bashful and hesitant. He hesitated no longer. Stepping forward, he pulled Ziyajayaj's shoulder straight into his embrace and barked in a low voice, "Hold tight." Feeling half her body leaning right into Fang Chen's chest, Ziyajayaj's heart instantly raced like a startled deer. She could only reach out timidly, her small hand gently grasping the edge of Fang Chen's sleeve. First, Fang Chen took out the moon mirror and sent a message to Gu Ziner, instructing them not to come over, but instead to head directly to the Cloud Sea and await their convergence. Then, gripping the earth, heart of 10,000 soils tightly, he resolutely activated its power. With a resonant asterisk whoosh asterisk, almost in the blink of an eye, The three of them vanished from the spot. When they reappeared, they stood upon a small floating island within the cloud sea. The earth swiftly bulged upward, condensing into three humanoid forms. Fang Chen released the two women and said calmly, "We're here." "Ah, it's over already," Ziyaj blurted out subconsciously. How could it end in just an instant? Once she realized, a blush crept onto her pretty face and she stammered, I mean uncle. Master is truly amazing." Linglong's gaze swept over the earth, heart in Fang Chen's hand, a flash of shock passing through her eyes. She secretly transmitted to Ziyaj, "This uncle, master of yours, what exactly is his background?" She was full of surprise in her tone. A Hell realm artifact is one thing, but to actually possess the famed heart of 10,000 Earths as well. No wonder you can't bear to leave. Even I want to stay. The realm artifacts of the Hell realm contain Potentian energy, which the Angel clan not only finds difficult to activate, but that can even backfire and harm them. So she didn't see how many Hell realm artifacts Fang Chen had. But this heart of 10,000 Earths was different. It was a realm artifact even she could use. She, a dignified eight-winged archangel, didn't have a single realm artifact on her, yet this junior Fang Chen had several. Her daughter's beloved was indeed extraordinary. It was no injustice that Yun Wanhen lost to him. Fang Chen looked around. As far as the eye could see, the vast expanse between heaven and earth was entirely an undulating sea of clouds, with floating boulders of various sizes. This place was the void left when an ancient sage of the Middle-earth dug out a continent back then, and also the spot where he first set foot into the heavenly realm. Could the sacred hall be hidden here? But where exactly is it? Just then, the angel's blade in his hand flickered like a candle flame, brightening and dimming erratically. Strands of holy light spilled out, drifting off in a certain direction. The Blood Moon King sighed, saying, "The angel's blade has sensed the location of the sacred hall. Follow it, and you'll find it before long." After speaking, it gazed deeply at Fang Chen, its tone full of pleading. "Please keep your promise." Its usefulness had been squeezed dry. It was time to be on its way. Fang Chen looked at it, his eyes devoid of the slightest pity, and said flatly, "In your next life, choose a better womb." As his words ended, yin and holy flames erupted simultaneously from his palm. With a sizzling sound, the Blood Moon King, a remnant soul, was burned to ashes, leaving not a trace behind. "Let's go." Fang Chen, expressionless, followed the guidance of the angel's blade and flew forward. Linglong let out a light laugh. "We angels and Asura counter each other's flames, yet he alone has learned both. Now he counters both our clans." Her gaze swirled playfully, and she mused, "He wouldn't happen to have both the angel's blade and the Asura blade as well. This kid. I'm actually starting to find him interesting." Ziyaj secretly rejoiced, the corners of her lips involuntarily curving up. Earlier, her godmother Lion Jing had dismissed Ziyaj, but now she showed a trace of interest. The three of them moved along with the drifting holy light of the angel's blade. About an hour later, before the sacred hole appeared, the sky overhead suddenly twisted, and a massive spatial mirror materialized out of thin air. One after another, people from Heavenly Secrets Pavilion dropped out of the mirror. Cloud Garment Fairy, True Word Venerable, Gong Keiyi, and Ling Shu all arrived beside Fang Chen. Venerable Lion Jing raised her hand and put away the spatial mirror. The divine ring behind her dimmed noticeably, clearly having expended her domain to swiftly transport everyone here. Seeing Ziyaj safe and sound, she gently reproached, "You silly girl, what are you returning to the northern heavenly realm for? What's wrong with staying by my son's side?" She truly couldn't bear to let Ziyaj go. Such a brilliant and charming girl not becoming her daughter-in-law was ultimately a regret. Fang Chen waved his hand and said, "Godmother, everyone has their own aspirations. Respect her choice." He then looked around at everyone and declared loudly, "I've gathered you all to explore a secret realm, together with Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. Such an opportunity may never come again." Ziyaj, True Word Venerable, and Ling Shu would all be leaving soon. Others might also gradually depart for various reasons. Fang Chen himself was about to leave Middle-earth and head into the void. It would be hard to gather with everyone again in the future. Today marked the final grand assembly of Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. So he wanted to take this chance to lead everyone in exploring the sacred hall. If anyone found their own fortune, that would be best. If not, it would still be a journey taken together. Hearing this, everyone felt myriad emotions in their hearts. Unknowingly, many had already left in various ways. The grand spectacle of an entire sect participating, like the Heavenly Mountain Range, might probably never be seen again. Now, this was truly, perhaps, the very last time. Whether for fortune or as a memento, this trip was worth exploring together. True Word Venerable and Ling Shu each came to Fang Chen's sides. The two of them were also about to leave. Ling Shu silently held Fang Chen's hand, resting her graceful head gently on his shoulder, her crystalline eyes glimmering with summer emotion. True Word Venerable, unusually dropping her usual restraint, took the initiative to wrap her arm around Fang Chen's, forcing her spirits up as she said, "I hope this isn't our last time." Fang Chen tightly grasped the hands of both women, took a deep breath, and shouted, "Everyone, set out." The members of Heavenly Secrets Pavilion moved forward, chatting and laughing. They especially gathered around Zia Keoj, True Word Venerable, and Ling Shu. Everyone cherished these final moments together immensely. Zia Keoj, who usually never smiled, seemed deeply infected by the atmosphere, laughing and jesting continuously, her silvery, crisp laughter ringing out like bells. Ling Long, walking shoulder to shoulder with Fang Chen at the very front, couldn't help but glance back. Her eyes held a trace of complexity as she murmured, softly, "She's been very happy in Middle-earth." Hearing that long, lost laughter, Ling Long even wavered in her resolve to bring her back. But the parting words of the nine-winged archangel of the eastern wasteland forced her to suppress that thought once more. Half an hour later, the angel's blade blazed with unprecedented brilliance, like a brilliant firework, continuously spewing vast quantities of holy light. An island slowly came into view. On the island were rabbits the size of calves, bees as big as dogs, and towering ancient trees. It was an utterly ordinary island of the southern heavenly realm. Yet all the members of Heavenly Secrets Pavilion were stunned. True Word Venerable asked in confusion, "Husband, this island looks very familiar." Gu Zinner blinked and chimed in, "Isn't this the place where we were ambushed the first time we came to the southern heavenly realm?" The people of Heavenly Secrets Pavilion suddenly realized Fang Chen's journey to the heavenly realm had been recorded by a crystal, and it had indeed shown a great ambush battle. Back then, Fang Chen, Gu Zinner, Song Lingyu, Bai Xin, and Dharma Seal Vajra had encountered an ambush by giants here, among them a 9 orifice giant. At that time, they were only at the early nascent soul stage, and had almost all perished here. Fang Chen also felt some nostalgia. The very place where he had faced ancient giants' head, on for the first time, had now become his final stop in the southern heavenly realm. Could this signify that his many journeys to the southern heavenly realm were now coming to an end? What kind of surprises awaited him within that sacred hall? With a thought, Fang Chen teleported above the island. Looking down from above, the island was utterly unremarkable, without any unique features. But the angel's blade seemed to receive a summons, violently wrenching free from Fang Chen's hand, and transforming into a streak of light that fiercely stabbed into the island below. With an earth-shattering crack, the entire island suddenly split into pieces, huge chunks of mountain rock sinking into the sea of clouds below. In the end, only a damaged ancient formation remained, embedded deep at the island's base and level with the cloud sea. The formation was carved into a giant boulder, its edges damaged in many places, likely partially destroyed inadvertently when the 9 sages dug out the heavenly realm continent back then. Now, the angel's blade was lodged in the center of the formation, causing the ancient formation to resume functioning. However, due to the severe damage, the formation flickered erratically, emitting extremely unstable spatial laws. Ling Long's expression changed slightly, and she blurted out, "To think it's a great angel who mastered spatial laws. This is a peerless grand treasure, ranking among the top even in the northern heavenly realm." She immediately transmitted a message to Zia Keoj. "Keoj, take this seriously. That kid has prepared a unique, one-of-a-kind gift for you. It might even be of help to me." Traces of anticipation swirled in her eyes. Fang Chen gazed at the flickering formation and solemnly instructed everyone this should be the entrance to the sacred hall. However, the formation is damaged, and teleportation will most likely send everyone to different areas of the sacred hall at random. Once inside, be extremely careful. He then walked over to Zia Keoj and said warmly, "Keoj, prioritize safety above all. Your martial uncle will do his best to find useful items for you." Zia Keoj smiled and nodded repeatedly, chirping, "Martial uncle, you be careful too." Being the one martial uncle had shown the most concern for today felt so wonderful. Fang Chen took a deep breath and shouted, "I'll go in first. The rest of you follow after." He took out the already damaged formation stone, which could barely still be used, and at the same time secretly activated the Hell Soul Bell as a precaution against any soul threatening danger. With all preparations in place, he stepped onto the formation. With a sharp whoosh, Fang Chen felt the world spin violently around him. Simultaneously, his body was abruptly struck by multiple vicious assaults. Fortunately, the barely activated formation stones managed to block them for him. Fang Chen hurried to stabilize his stance, the scene before him quickly sharpening. This was unexpectedly a boundless space. Looking around, all he saw was an expanse of bluish-black, accompanied by an unending rumble that made his eardrums tremble. Even his formidable physique at the level of the 4 declines of heaven and man was shaken until his entire body went numb. This is the astral wind. Fang Chen's gaze suddenly focused intently. The surging bluish-black all around was precisely the terrifying astral wind that separated the central plains from the southern celestial realm. Even a physique at the 5 declines of heaven and man would be extinguished by the astral wind if it fell into it, just as the great venerable Wugu had his Tao body ground into dust long ago. Suddenly, a dull thud came from behind him as another attack slammed fiercely into the formation stones. Fang Chen focused his gaze and saw that several formation stones were clearly imprinted with rows of bite marks. His pupils sharply constricted. Back then, it was only the heaven, burying holy beast at its peak, that barely managed to crack the formation stones. What creature could actually bite through them? Alarm bells rang out in his mind. While sharply scanning the surroundings, he tightened his grip on the pouch holding the heaven, burying holy beast, ready to guard against an attack by the unknown creature at any moment. But on second thought, Fang Chen grew puzzled. This place had been sealed for at least 10,000 years. Where could a living creature come from? Concentrating intensely, he carefully scanned and finally spotted a crouching black cat amidst the dense bluish-black. The black cat's eyes shimmered with a cold, eerie green light, staring at him with a chilling gaze. The next moment, a flash of green light flickered in the cat's eyes, and with a crisp crack, another chunk of the formation stones around Fang Chen vanished into thin air. Yet the black cat hadn't moved a single muscle. Immediately after, the eerie light in the cat's eyes flickered repeatedly. The formation stones sounded with constant cracking as they densely endured the invisible assault. Fang Chen's expression instantly turned solemn, inwardly shocked. What kind of devilish thing is this? Seeing that the formation stones were about to give way, he drew the heretic sword with a backhand grip and thrust fiercely through the air. The heretic sword expanded countless times against the wind, its tip instantly stabbing the black cat. However, Fang Chen did not feel the slightest resistance of a successful hit on his hand. Instead, an utterly bizarre scene unfolded. The heretic sword actually folded back on itself and stabbed back toward him. Fortunately, Fang Chen reacted with extreme speed. His thought flashed, and the heretic sword immediately shortened. The pitch-black blade edge came to a stop, just 3 feet away from him. He had come within a hair's breadth of dying under his own sword. What the hell is this thing? Fang Chen's first strike failed, so he swiftly condensed the unquenchable blade in his palm while imbuing it with void, lightning flames. Against such an evil creature, nothing could be more fitting. He shouted fiercely, "Unquenchable blade!" With one slash, the enormous sword, light of lightning flames, instantly engulfed the black cat entirely. Yet, that bizarre situation repeated itself. The radiance of the unquenchable blade distorted and actually folded back, slashing toward him in reverse. Luckily, Fang Chen was prepared this time. As he slashed out with the sword, he had already shifted to dodge. The unquenchable blade whistled past his side, just grazing him. Fang Chen finally understood. This black cat actually possessed the bizarre ability to fold back enemy attacks. Whether physical or energy-based, all could be easily folded by spatial force. From this perspective, the only thing unaffected would be soul power. A cold gleam flashed in Fang Chen's eyes, and he shouted in a deep voice, soul-piercing spike. A fierce soul attack shot out suddenly, heading straight for the black cat. No matter how formidable spatial folding was, it could not affect the soul dimension at all. Indeed, this time, the soul spike was not folded back. However, it sank like a stone into the sea, without stirring the slightest ripple. The soul spike actually passed straight through the black cat's body, without encountering the slightest obstruction. Fang Chen's expression changed, and he blurted out, "It's not a living creature." Only then did he have a sudden realization. This black cat was a Dharma artifact guarding this place, which would indiscriminately launch spatial attacks against all intruders. Those fine bite marks on the formation stones were precisely the traces left by its spatial attacks devouring. Only because the formation stones themselves were incredibly tough did they only bear tiny bite marks. If it had been a human body, even one that had reached the formidable physique of the 5 declines of heaven and man, it would likely be bitten to pieces in a single strike. Fang Chen calculated in his heart, since it wasn't a living creature, things would be much easier. He silently activated the selfless purification art, and the next moment, his entire form completely vanished into nothingness. Losing its target, the black cat's eerie green eyes instantly dimmed and went out, returning to dead silence. Fang Chen nodded to himself and murmured, as expected, "It only passively activated to attack me because of my presence. I only need to seal its eyes to subdue it." Just as he was about to make his move, suddenly, a white figure plummeted down without any warning. Though the surroundings were dim and lightless, the woman's figure was exceptionally clear, as if she carried her own faint halo of light. Fang Chen focused his gaze and cried out in shock, "It's Keo's older sister." When he clearly saw where she was falling, Fang Chen's expression instantly changed drastically. She had landed, neither too far nor too close, right in front of that black cat. Fang Chen's heart instantly leaped into his throat. Linglong was only at the 2 declines of heaven and man. How could she withstand a casual glance from the black cat's eyes? She is Keo's own elder sister. At that critical moment, Fang Chen had no time to shout a warning. His figure flickered and instantly teleported to her side. He abruptly yanked the woman into his arms and resolutely turned his back to face the black cat. Linglong raised her elegant eyebrows and coldly stared at Fang Chen, musing inwardly, "Just parted from Keoj, and now he's being indecent with me. Does this person truly have no improper thoughts toward Keoj?" Fleeting traces of killing intent flashed through her eyes. Suddenly, a muffled, explosive sound erupted next to their ears like thunderclap. Fang Chen felt as if an invisible giant mountain had slammed fiercely into his back. He staggered violently and pitched forward together with Linglong. A coppery sweetness rose in his throat as blood surged up, nearly spurting out. Though he forcefully suppressed it, strands of crimson blood still seeped from the corner of his mouth. The pain on his face could no longer be restrained, his features twisting together in agony. Only then did Linglong realize that behind Fang Chen, thick black smoke billowed and roiled, with chaotic formation forces dancing wildly like frenzied snakes. The 6 black formation stones had already cracked inch by inch, and behind the spot where she had just stood, a pair of cat eyes shimmering with green light were slowly lighting up as the black cat unleashed terrifying spatial power. Linglong was inwardly shaken, a boundary artifact of spatial laws. She instantly understood that Fang Chen was not being indecent at all. He was clearly risking his life to save her. Seeing the black cat's eyes light up again, Linglong's gaze turned cold as holy light gathered at her fingertips, ready to destroy it with a single blow. But Fang Chen, enduring the intense pain, flipped his hand and produced an ancient oil lamp. This was the Buddha's oil lamp, containing a strand of Buddhist charm. Once activated, within the range of its candlelight, the auras of all living beings would be completely shielded. All probing below the 3 calamities realm could be isolated, its effect comparable to the 3rd level of the selfless purification art. The only difference was that the selfless purification art only worked on one person, while the oil lamp was effective for multiple people. The 2 figures instantly vanished without a trace. Losing its attack target, the black cat immediately subsided. Fang Chen covered Linglong's mouth with one hand, gazed into her eyes, and transmitted through the silence meditation, "Forgive me, Miss Linglong. For now, endure, and do not make a sound." Looking at Fang Chen's slightly pale, still pained face, the sharpness in Linglong's eyes gradually receded. In its place was a deep sense of melancholy. Her thoughts surged, "I am only Keo's elder sister, having met Fang Chen only once, yet he could throw himself into danger for me, using his own body as a shield. If Keoj were in danger, how much more would he protect her? Needless to say, no wonder Keoj said he is harsh only to enemies and kind to his own people. Such kindness leaves one speechless. Only is this how he treats Keoj normally as well." At this moment, Fang Chen was tightly embracing her waist, and her entire body was pressed into his scorching embrace. The softness of her chest was pressed firmly against his chest, and her mouth was securely covered by his large hand. A long, forgotten strange sensation quietly passed through her heart, and she gently pushed Fang Chen away. Seeing that she had understood, Fang Chen immediately released his hand and turned to stare at the black cat. Using the cover of the Buddha's lamp, Fang Chen swiftly darted to the black cat's side, took out several strips of cloth, and quickly wrapped them around its eyes. He was about to put it away when someone gently tugged at his sleeve. Fang Chen turned his head and met Linglong's gaze. In his mind echoed her calm yet graceful voice transmission. The spatial laws of this quasi-realm artifact cannot be blocked by ordinary cloth. Oh, this is also a quasi-realm artifact. Fang Chen was secretly excited, and at the same time felt a surge of gratitude. He replied telepathically, "Thank you for the warning, Miss Linglong." After a brief thought, Fang Chen took out a blob of ethereal demon fluid and firmly plastered it over the black cat's 2 eyes. Linglong's gaze suddenly froze, and she thought in alarm, "Ethereal demon fluid. That is the fodder of true demons. Could it be that a true demon has already descended upon the central land? If a true demon truly awakens, whether the celestial realm, the central land, or the netherworld, all 3 realms will be plunged into eternal calamity." A flicker of horror passed through her eyes. Could the central land be secretly breeding demonic entities, intending to use them as a final trump card? If the central land falls, will they simply unleash a true demon, choosing mutual destruction, like jade and stone burning together? At this thought, she felt her heart pound with fear. The central land must be insane, daring to set their sights on a true demon. Fang Chen noticed her strange expression and assumed she was frightened by the ethereal demon fluid. He quickly reassured her, "Don't be afraid, Miss Linglong. The ethereal demon fluid itself is not harmful." Linglong collected her thoughts, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, and solemnly warned, "Young Master Fang, it is best to avoid contact with such demon fluid. It is a source of terror between heaven and earth. Do not invite its karma upon yourself." Fang Chen was taken aback and studied Linglong with surprise. This elder sister of Zheoj had such extensive knowledge. It seemed she was fully aware of the ethereal demon fluid's uses and origins. He nodded gently and said with a smile, "I understand. Thank you for the reminder, Miss Linglong. Let's step back and test the effect of this ethereal demon fluid." As he spoke, he pulled Linglong back to a sufficiently distant spot, setting up layers of protection to shield the 2 of them securely. Only then did he extinguish the Buddhist lamp. As soon as their auras were revealed, a profound fluctuation surged from within the black cat, its 2 eyes flickering with an uncertain green light. But because of the obstruction from the ethereal demon fluid, the spatial law could not be released no matter what. Delight spread across Fang Chen's face, and he blurted out, "It worked." He made a grasping motion through the air, drawing the cat into his palm for a careful examination. Linglong nodded inwardly and praised in her heart, bold yet cautious, decisive yet meticulous. To have reached this point today, it is definitely not just by relying on a few realm artifacts gifted by his elders. Unable to restrain her curiosity, she asked, "Young Master Fang, your methods are impressive. Your parents must be renowned worthies in the central land, I presume." Fang Chen replied with a calm expression, "I have no mother. My father was an ordinary mortal who passed away over 9 years ago." Linglong exclaimed inwardly, so he was a youth who came from an ordinary family. She truly could not imagine how Fang Chen had climbed up from the very bottom, all the way until his name shook the heavens and his valor outshone the 3 armies. Presumably, the hardships within must be beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Gazing at Fang Chen, she had to admit that a measure of admiration had grown in her heart. A person who grew up in adversity, indeed, has a promising future. She thought to herself quietly, "If only you were of my angel clan. With your current status and fame, I would have no objections at all, not even concerning Zheoj. Unfortunately, you are not of our kind after all." Fang Chen had no idea he'd been scrutinized from the perspective of a future mother-in-law. He looked around and said, "Although the black cat has been subdued, we seem to be trapped in an endless, boundless space." He extended his divine sense, yet still could not detect any boundaries. Linglong briefly examined their surroundings and said calmly, "We are inside the lost base of a 9-winged grand angel."
What?
Fang Chen's expression changed slightly. "The lost base of a 9-winged grand angel." Linglong explained in a plain tone, "To leave there are only 2 methods. One is to shatter the law, power of the 9-winged grand angel. The other is to wait for rescue from the outside." She paused, narrowed her eyes slightly, and gazed toward a certain area of in-kai blackness, then changed the subject. "It seems there is something else here." As she spoke, she waved her sleeve and scattered rays of holy light. Wherever the holy light passed, the previously blurred regions instantly became crystal clear. In that in-kai black area, not far from the black cat, a suspended, ancient stone tablet slowly emerged. Carved upon the tablet were ancient characters of the angel clan. Linglong stared at those characters, her brows tightly furrowed and inwardly alarmed. Ancient angel script. This script should have completely perished with the fall of that terrifying holy angel. I wonder what exactly is inscribed on this tablet. However, Linglong's pupils suddenly contracted sharply at this moment, because beside her, Fang Chen was actually reading the ancient tablet word by word. Quais, immortal art, primordial unity, ancestral sutra. Linglong's beautiful eyes instantly widened in disbelief, and she stared at Fang Chen, exclaiming, You aren't just spouting nonsense, are you? It didn't surprise her that Fang Chen was proficient in modern angel script. After all, she had a foolish daughter who might have taught him in her spare time. That was perfectly normal. But what was carved on this tablet was the long, lost ancient angel script. This was the exclusive secret script of the fallen holy angel, the lineage of the heavenless realm lord. Since the fall of the heavenless realm lord, this script had been completely lost. Even his descendants had failed to grasp even a trace of it. Where on earth had Fang Chen learned it? Fang Chen, upon hearing this, frowned slightly and said with a puzzled look, Isn't that exactly what it says on here? Don't tell me you don't recognize it. His entire skill in angel script had been forcibly learned from that white, robed skeleton inside the Thunder God's celestial palace back then. Surely he hadn't learned it wrong, had he? The corner of Linglong's mouth twitched slightly, and she hurriedly insisted, Oh, of course I recognize it. I was just testing you. Despite her words, her heart was already churning tumultuously. Her own mastery of angel script was actually inferior to that of a human boy. This was truly a reversal of the natural order. Fang Chen gave an "oh," and then said no more, once again focusing his gaze on the tablet. He had nearly embarrassed himself just now, so now his heart was also beating nervously. He dared not read aloud anymore, merely reading on in silence. At this, the watching Linglong was beside herself with anxiety. She gritted her teeth secretly. That damn brat, he should just read it out. If he doesn't, how can I learn it on the sly? If I heard correctly earlier, he said this is a quais, immortal art. Impossible. Immortal arts are the indispensable path for cultivators who have reached the end of the Saint realm and wish to take another step forward. Only by mastering an immortal art can one cross that insurmountable heavenly chasm and reach the ultimate pinnacle of martial Tao. This so-called quasi-immortal art, though not as mythically heaven, piercing an earth, shaking as a true immortal art, must still be an extraordinary epoch-defying great art created by an ancient mighty figure. It is enough to trigger the resonance of the great Tao and dominate past and present. If cultivated successfully, even if ancient saints were to awaken and reclaim the mortal world, the cultivator could rely on this art to suppress heaven and earth and battle those saints. However, what made her itch with unbearable longing was that Fang Chen was now only reading silently, no longer vocalizing. Several times she was about to speak, but each time the words reached her lips, the image of Zia Zheoji's smiling face would appear in her mind as if saying, Mother, there is actually a time when you need to ask Fang Chen for help. At that thought, Linglong resolutely swallowed her words and could only suppress her impatience, quietly waiting for Fan Chen to finish. After a long while, Fang Chen stood silently before the tablet, his face filled with shock. This so-called primordial unity, ancestral sutra, actually involved cultivating each of the 9 grand ancestral Taos into one's own laws. Ultimately, the 9 grand ancestral Tao laws would merge into one, transforming into the legendary, true immortal art. Fang Chen was utterly numb. He was currently walking the path of the flawless ancestral Tao, and whether he could step into the realm of a sage in this life was still a giant question mark. Cultivate the 9 grand ancestral Taos. He would have to be insane to dabble in such a quasi-immortal art. What made him even more speechless was that this primordial unity ancestral sutra had considerable similarities to the scripture of departing heaven and purifying tribulations, founded by the Buddha. The former claimed that by unifying the 9 ancestral Taos, one could condense an immortal art and reach the pinnacle of martial Tao. The latter stated that by undergoing the baptism of myriad Taos, the body would naturally ascend to the apex of martial Tao. In other words, although the methods differed, they led to the same destination. One followed the path of refining the physical body to its peak, the other cultivated the heaven, reaching path of the 9 grand ancestral Taos converging into one. Both of these paths were almost impossibly dead ends. Moreover, they were likely nothing more than speculative paths devised by predecessors, never personally verified by anyone. He lifted a hand to knead his brow, quashing the faint urge to cultivate that flickered in his heart. Should his ancestral path reach the realm of sages, a sliver of hope for cultivation remained. Failing that, all talk was in vain. The moment Fang Chen finished reading the primordial unity ancestral scripture, a dull thunderous boom resounded the ancient stone tablet, having endured 10,000 years. Such in lie decayed and crumbled, disintegrating into countless fine particles of dust that dispersed in all directions. At the same time, the howling of the astral winds outside suddenly intensified, as if 10,000 ghosts were shrieking in unison. Fang Chen was startled in his heart, but quickly realized it was not that the astral winds had intensified. Rather, the space around them was rapidly contracting, bringing the terrifying astral winds closer, which was why the sound grew ever more piercing. Linglong scanned her surroundings and immediately noticed the spatial change. With sudden understanding, she said, "So the way to leave this place is to finish reading this primordial unity ancestral scripture. This nine-winged archangel is truly kind, forcing one to learn his technique." Her tone carried a deep, meaningful significance. Fang Chen understood the implication. The owner of this sacred hall indeed seemed suspect of forcing visitors to cultivate the primordial unity ancestral scripture. Could it be that the method of nine paths unification harbored some unknown trap? However, compared to that, Fang Chen was more concerned about Linglong before him. She was only at the second decline of the heavenly human stage, yet had remained completely calm from beginning to end. When trapped here, she showed no nervousness or worry. Now that escape was imminent, her deep eyes revealed no emotional fluctuation. As if she had never feared the so-called restraints of this place at all. Fang Chen glanced at her out of the corner of his eye and said calmly, "Stay close behind me in a moment." Linglong's face was expressionless as she stared at Fang Chen's back. Gradually, a hint of depth spread in her eyes. Her crimson lips parted slightly, uttering only a single word, "Fine," yet in her heart, she was rapidly weighing how to deal with Fang Chen. Originally, she had not wanted to kill him, to avoid damaging the mother-daughter bond over an unrelated man. But now, Fang Chen possessed the heart of 10,000 Earths, and had obtained the legacy of the primordial unity ancestral scripture. It would be a lie to say she was not tempted. While both harbored their own thoughts, the howling of the astral winds around them grew more violent and piercing, to the point that even the law space could not completely block it. Meanwhile, the surrounding bluish, black space contracted rapidly, and in mere moments it was only about 10 feet wide. The two were nearly pressed together, their breathing clearly audible. At that moment, a creaking sound came from within the dark bluish, black space, the sound of a door being pushed open. A blindingly brilliant light instantly shone in. Fang Chen looked against the dazzling light and saw a majestic, grand sanctuary of light, bathed in holy radiance, slowly emerging into view. The sanctuary was pure white, its dome inlaid with pearls that radiated holy light. The floor was spotless, so smooth and reflective it seemed to mirror one's reflection. At the very center of the sanctuary stood a towering white stone sculpture 30 meters high. It was a statue of a female archangel with a pair of wings, her face kind and dignified, holy and beautiful. A smile of compassion for all beings lingered at the corner of her lips, warming the heart at a glance, like a lost traveler finally finding the way home. Even to sleep here eternally, one would do so willingly. Fang Chen's gaze dulled slightly. Influenced by the statue's eerie power, his body involuntarily stepped outward. But just as he was about to step out, the rustling sound of the primal void ancient tree echoed in his mind, and his divine platform suddenly regained clarity. Almost simultaneously, he felt a slight weight on his shoulder. Linglong had lightly patted him, a subtle force sweeping through his body instantly. "Don't look into her eyes, you'll be bewitched and lose yourself." Fang Chen pretended to have been saved by Linglong, and quickly said gratefully, "Many thanks, Miss Linglong." Linglong only gazed calmly at the statue, her tone slightly cautious. "Be careful, this nine-winged archangel is likely not benevolent." Fang Chen wholeheartedly agreed. If she were truly kind, she wouldn't have left such a terrifyingly powerful stone statue here to control intruders. He dared not look into the statue's eyes again, and only swept his gaze over the area below them. Through the slightly upturned lips, Fang Chen suddenly noticed that the statue seemed to hold a snow-white round bead in its mouth. An incredibly pure holy power was slowly emanating from that bead, so the holy power sustaining this entire sanctuary for 10,000 years was all released from this tiny bead. Linglong's graceful figure also trembled sharply at that moment, an irrepressible ecstasy surging in her heart. "I've finally found it. This nine-winged archangel's holy blood is indeed still here. With it, I can attempt to break through to the nine-winged archangel realm." At her current stage, taking another step forward to reach the realm of a nine-winged archangel below, the saint level was nearly impossible. Apart from being restricted by the holy angel blood, more importantly, how could the two nine-winged archangels of the northern heaven realm, the Eastern Emperor and the Western Empress, ever allow a third nine-winged archangel to appear in this world? Over 10,000 years, the Northern Heaven Realm had seen several eight-winged archangels, some fallen and some newly risen. Only the two nine-winged archangels, the Eastern Emperor and the Western Empress, remained unchanged since ancient times. They had ruled the Northern Heaven Realm for 10,000 years. Could it be that in all that time, no eight-winged archangel of heaven, defying talent, had ever attempted to break through to the ninth wing? And why did those eight-winged archangels, whose lifespans should be long, have such frequent successions? What exactly happened in those 10,000 years? If one were to ponder deeply, they could glimpse the boundless bloodshed and darkness hidden beneath the Northern Heaven Realm's glorious history. Linglong was now also an eight-winged archangel, and she had already become a potential threat in the eyes of the two nine-winged archangels. They would never give her any chance to break through to the nine-winged realm. Originally, she had planned to lie low for another 1,000 years to avoid their edge, but never expected to encounter such a heaven-sent opportunity in the Southern Heaven Realm. Now, I am in the Southern Heaven Realm, and I have a holy blood in hand. If I don't seize this perfect opportunity to break through to the nine-winged archangel realm, I would truly be unworthy of this heaven-sent chance. Thinking thus, she couldn't help but look at Fang Chen's back, her gaze gradually growing complex. This opportunity here was brought to her by Fang Chen. If she killed him to seize the treasure, it would be akin to repaying kindness with enmity. What is that? At that moment, Fang Chen suddenly raised his hand and pointed at the statue's palm. Linglong followed his gaze and saw that in the open right palm of the statue lay a silver, white, elegant longbow brimming with holy aura, along with 3 arrows of the same material beside it. Her brow arched and a look of desire appeared in her eyes. She softly said, "That is her artifact, a quasi-realm weapon, the Archangel's longbow. It seems immensely powerful." Joy flickered in Fang Chen's eyes, and he said, "A quasi-realm weapon. Come to think of it, Zhao Ji still lacks a formidable divine weapon. In the last great battle, she had to borrow my supreme grade longsword. Fine, I'll take this as a parting gift for Zhao Ji." But he dared not rashly approach the statue. Instead, staying within the law space, he took out the 5 magnetic origin mountain, which he hadn't used in a long time. This mountain had a unique use, seizing weapons. Linglong saw the 5 magnetic origin mountain, and her brows furrowed deeply. How do you have everything? She was somewhat dumbfounded. Wasn't Fang Chen human? Having a full set of Hell Realm artifacts was one thing, but how did he have piles of angelic items too? Holy fire, angelic blades, and now even a part of the Northern Heaven Realm's World Embryo, the 5 magnetic origin mountain stones, were brought out. Next time, would he produce a holy angel? Fang Chen answered without turning his head, "Too poor, all my equipment is scavenged." With that, he decisively activated the 5 magnetic origin mountain, flying it above the statue's palm. While manipulating it, he observed the statue's reaction, guarding against any unexpected changes. With a low shout of "Collect!" the 5 magnetic origin mountain released a brilliant light, enveloping the longbow and 3 arrows below. But they didn't budge at all. Linglong snorted, "Do you think a quasi-realm weapon is cabbage? You want a mere supreme grade spirit artifact to suck it up? That was quite reasonable." In that case, they could only risk leaving this space and head directly to the statue to retrieve it. Linglong said, "Let's go. To leave this secret realm, the sanctuary ahead is our only way through." Only then did Fang Chen notice the great door set into the wall behind the stone statue, leading to some unknown destination. After a moment's thought, Fang Chen chose to step out of the law space. After all, he could not remain inside forever. Linglong followed close behind. After both had left, the law space gradually shrank, finally turning into a speck of dust and dissipating between heaven and earth. Both stood before the stone statue, each fixed on their own objective. Fang Chen warily scrutinized the statue, pondering how to safely secure the silver bow. A tiny smirk lifted the corner of Linglong's lips as she instantly teleported to the statue's lips, twisted space in a spiral, and wrenched the round bead out by force. Clutching this holy angel blood, Linglong could no longer conceal the excitement in her eyes, yet she was far from satisfied. Her gaze locked onto the silver bow and the 3 arrows. As her thought flashed, she teleported again. But the moment her figure arrived, before she could even reach for them, the silver bow emitted a piercing whoosh and vanished into thin air. Staring fixedly, she saw that Fang Chen had used a fishing rod to hook the silver bow away first. Linglong knitted her brow. This realm artifact surpassed the one she used and suited her perfectly. With a sweep of her sleeve, she whisked the 3 arrows into her storage device and stated, "Fellow Taoist Fang, hand over the silver bow. I will provide Keoj with a suitable artifact separately." Fang Chen stared at her, directly shoved the silver bow into his spatial storage, and his gaze gradually turned icy. He said sternly, "Show your true form now." He had not wished to tear apart all pretense, but she was now competing for Keoj's artifact. Linglong clasped her hands behind her back, looking down on Fang Chen from her elevated vantage, and said flatly, "I am Keoj's elder sister. What other true form do you wish to see?" Fang Chen silently retrieved the Grand Void Seed and gave a cold laugh. "Sister, when we were trapped inside the law space, you said there were only two ways to escape. One was rescue from outside, the other was possessing strength that overpowers the law and forcefully breaking out. Since you are so composed, you must possess such strength, am I right?" He stared hard at Linglong, his eyes brimming with gravity. Now he could be certain this woman was absolutely not at the second heavenly decay. She was a terrifying existence whose power was great enough to suffocate every powerhouse in the Middle Continent. Xia Keoj had not voluntarily left them. She had been forcibly abducted by this woman. The reason she had pretended that this person was her sister was most likely because this woman had threatened Xia Keoj. For the safety of the Middle Continent's powerhouses, Xia Keoj had merely cooperated with her. He himself had trusted the judgment of the Nine, Nether Demon Lord, and the ancient Zen Buddha too fully, and had also believed Keoj's words too completely, which was why he had no. He analyzed more carefully. Thinking back now, that unlabeled reply in the Moon Realm was proof enough that Keoj had been acting under duress. Linglong chuckled, making no attempt to hide it. To be precise, she had never bothered to disguise herself seriously. A pack of weaklings she could kill at will. She had no need for seriousness. Linglong said, "Wouldn't a little foolishness be better? Why must you be so sober? For the sake of a gift for Keoj, you would not hesitate to tear off all pretense with an unknown powerhouse. I actually thought you were cautious, decisive, and capable of great undertakings. Now it seems you're just a sentimental fool, after all." Fang Chen smiled faintly. "I know this is extremely unwise. But Keoj once lost her life for me on the Boundary Mountain, and twice gifted me life, saving golden feathers, and I have never reciprocated. Now you expect me to just stand by and watch as an unidentified woman oppresses her, watch as her treasures are snatched away, and remain silent. I can't do it." Fang Chen's eyes were like ice as he shouted sternly, "Put down those 3 arrows and leave the Southern Heaven Realm. Otherwise, do not blame me for showing no courtesy." Hearing this, Linglong put her hands behind her back and tilted her head. "If I were an archangel, would you still dare speak to me like that?" Fang Chen said impassively, "Even if you were a 9-winged archangel, I would not fear you. Put down Keoj's belongings, leave the Southern Heaven Realm, and forget any notion of taking her away." Linglong silently gazed at Fang Chen, not uttering a word. A stream of emotions flickered in her eyes, envy, and also a trace of melancholy. After a long while, she closed her eyes and gave a soft sigh. "If only Keoj's father could have been like you, how wonderful would that have been?" With a flick of her sleeve, the 3 arrows flew with a sharp swish and landed right before Fang Chen. "Bid farewell to Keoj properly. The predestined bond between you two should be put to a complete end. Otherwise, it will do no one any good." Fang Chen, somewhat taken aback, put away the 3 arrows and asked, "Who exactly are you?" He had originally believed she was oppressing Xia Keoj, but now it did not seem entirely so. For a moment, Fang Chen could not discern the true relationship between them. Linglong gave a faint smile. Suddenly, flames blazed to life behind her. 8 pairs of brilliant golden wings, radiating an immense oppressive aura, gently unfurled and beat. Fang Chen's pupils contracted violently, an 8-winged archangel. He had considered that she was hiding her true power, but never in a million years had he imagined she had concealed it to such an extent. Linglong laughed teasingly. "You've got guts. Say what you just said again." Fang Chen replied without thinking, 8-winged archangel. "The one before that." "Who are you?" "That is specially hard," line remark. "Hello, sister." Linglong's expression froze solid. She stood stunned for a good long while. She stared into Fang Chen's eyes with an utterly bewildered look. This was the very same man who had pointed at her nose and told her to get out of the Southern Heaven Realm and to forget taking Keoj away. Linglong pinched the bridge of her nose and let out an exasperated laugh. "You're really something." She clutched the holy blood and gave a huff. "For the sake of this holy angel blood, I'll spare your life, but do not try to stop me from taking Keoj away. Otherwise, I will have no choice but to send you on your way." Fang Chen secretly clutched the primordial seed. If she still looked down on him like this, exactly who would send whom on their way was far from certain. Just as the tension between them eased, Fang Chen's peripheral vision suddenly caught an unnatural sign. The stone statue's eyeball had actually rotated. Having been wary of the statue from the start, Fang Chen shouted urgently, "Watch out!" Although Linglong had her back to the statue, even the subtlest change could not escape her senses. With a flare of her 8 wings, she instantly vanished from the spot. A heaven-shaking bam rang out. Almost simultaneously, the statue's 2 enormous hands suddenly clapped together. Fragments of law chains sprayed out like erupting magma in all directions. Fang Chen's face paled drastically. Just as he prepared to bring out the black stone, his body suddenly became weightless, and the surrounding light and shadow warped in violent flux. When the upheaval ceased, Fang Chen realized he was being carried horizontally in Linglong's arms. The mighty holy radiance from the 8 pairs of wings coalesced into a swirling vortex that spun protectively around them. The scattering law chains struck the vortex and were all deflected into the distance. It turned out Linglong had intervened to save him. He cupped his fists with heartfelt gratitude. "Many thanks for the rescue, Miss Linglong." Linglong glanced down at him with a wry smile. "How does it feel, a beauty saving the hero?" Fang Chen rubbed his nose. "Not bad at all, though it would be even better if we could switch the posture. Like this, I feel utterly disgraced." Suddenly, another muffled boom resounded. With a resounding bang, a stone palm abruptly punched through the vortex, bearing down with terrifying force in a lethal thrust. Linglong casually set Fang Chen down, reached to her waist, and pulled out a jade waist sash. The sash instantly ignited with golden flames and lengthened infinitely within that blazing fire. Next, with a flick of her wrist, the golden, flame-long whip coiled around the statue like a dragon entwining a pillar, binding it from top to bottom. As her arms drew tight, the palm that had been lunging toward them finally retracted. Linglong coldly observed the statue. "I knew you were no benevolent creature, dead for 10,000 years, yet you still left a trap behind." Without turning her head, she shouted, "Kid, hide behind me. This statue was forged using a 9-winged archangel and special materials." Before she could finish, she suddenly felt her waist tighten.